My name is Maria Parpu. I am an Executive Vice President at Mastercard. I'm responsible for our e-commerce gateway and for merchant solutions as part of our partners. I spent all my career in the intercept between payments and technology. And what I want to talk to you today is how AI will transform one of, I would say, our most favorable pastimes, which is shopping. And since this presentation has been provided to you by a human, me, I do not hallucinate, but I do exaggerate, and I do have a dream, and I do have a vision. So a lot of the things that I'm going to share with you today, they're not necessarily live yet, but you can rest assured that there are a lot of people working to make them live. And so I hope at the end of the session, it will trigger a little bit in you how everything that you learned today can be potentially transformed into real new businesses in the same way as e-commerce transformed our life about 15 years ago when it exploded into the scene. So let's kick it off. I don't want to spend more time on how AI has evolved. We had this discussion a lot today. But at the end of last year, when we had Black Friday, something very interesting has happened. We noticed, some of our customers have noticed, that inquiries started coming not from humans, but actually from ChatGPT, from Gemini, from some of the LLMs. I have a son who's 19 years old, and I grew up Googling, right? I mean, that's the thing that we do. My son never goes to Google anymore. I mean, he goes straight to ChatGPT for anything that he wants. And you can now start imagining if ChatGPT, Gemini, or Perplexity, or all the other LLMs become the starting point of a search for goods and services, it doesn't take a leap of faith to say that this is going to be the primary interface for a lot of our shopping experiences. So at the end of last year, both Mastercard and Visa, we announced a series of new protocols to enable agentic commerce. At the same time, Google came up with their protocol and ChatGPT came up with their protocols, and you will see, as I explained to you, how things have started to evolve. So if you look at commerce, for centuries, commerce was very much like if you wanted to shop, you had to get out of the house and go shopping. You can go shopping to the Laiki, or you can go shopping to the supermarket, but you needed to get out of it. And in many ways, I still am very fond, and I'm sure you all remember, the Saturdays where we were running from one shop to another, and then we finally found something, and you're like, yes, I love it, it's a great outfit, or whatever it was. But it required something to be done. When e-commerce bursted into the scene, a lot of us can now start shopping from the convenience of our sofa. And I remember a lot of my friends were saying to me, yeah, but I mean, how secure is it? Can you really leave your 16-digit card number and then is it safe? No, I can't do that. Imagine everybody today finds it extremely safe, not only to shop online, put their 16-digit card number, but also tick the box which says, please save my card details for the future. And imagine through e-commerce how many new businesses have been generated. Just think of Uber, think of Deliveroo, think about the endless apps that you have where you put your card down and they allow you to do shopping in so much more convenient way. Now, so you don't need to go out of your house to shop anymore. So the next phase will be agentic commerce, where actually you don't need to shop yourself anymore. Your agent can shop. That's quite a leap, but let me explain to you how it can be done. There are sort of three journeys emerging. The first journey is like the simple journey. You start the journey to say, hey, I want to buy a bicycle for my son. You go to one of the LLMs, they search, and they give you options, and then you press the button, and then, shopping happens afterwards. I'll show you in a minute. That's one. That's a very, very simple transactions. It starts with the product discovery, and then it goes into payments, all assisted via the agent. The second one is a little bit more complicated and quite more interesting. Let's say I'm saying, look, I want to have a weekend in Athens. Please help me do this, help me deliver it. Then the agent becomes my personal travel agent. He books my flights, he books my hotels, he gives me recommendations for restaurants, maybe a ticket to AI Unfold, and they can execute multiple payments. Again, this is not reality today, but will be reality tomorrow. The third piece is the most interesting one, and one that I can't wait for happen. Imagine you found those amazing boots and they're not on sale. You can tell your agent, hey, please buy these boots as soon as they come on sale. Or you want to go to a concert. You can say to the agent, I'm interested in this concert. As soon as tickets come out, please go and buy it. That is autonomous buying. The way you do it is you give them the parameters, and the agent will then go shopping on your behalf. Okay, again, vision at the moment. Okay, don't tell me where you can do this today, but it will go to that level. But what is the key problem that we're having with all of this? At every stage of the shopping journey, you have issues today, which we collectively in the payments ecosystem, be it us, the networks, Visa, Mastercard, or other schemes, as well as payment service providers and merchants, and the whole ecosystem need to overcome in order for this to become reality. The very first one starts with the shopping agent. Can I actually trust the shopping agent? Can I trust that he will execute and he won't hallucinate when I do what I'm doing, when I'm trying to shop, when he gives me the find me running shoes under 100, it searches and compares, is this really the agents that I'm setting up, or is it some fraudulent agent? If I go to another country that, can I use, what can I use? Then let's say I find and I purchase something, then the fun starts for the merchant. Because remember, if I give the agent my credit card and the agent has a 16-digit card number and then goes screen scraping on the merchant, fills in all the details, how does the merchant know that I'm not a fraudulent player? And how does the merchant know who authorized this transaction? Have I authorized this transaction? There needs to be some passkeys protocols to do that. And last but not least, okay, for us as a network, as a payment network, if we leave this like a kind of open source, we're going to end up with fraud skyrocketing, and the whole thing will be abandoned. Okay, and then once you purchase something, did I really order this? You need to have full documentation. So what we have come up with, and let me show you a journey. Nico, can you please play the first demo so people can get an idea on how this looks like? Okay, so here's perplexity. What do you want? No, I don't want a divorce. I want to get a new toy for my dog. He's really big and chewy. So this is an idea of how this could look like. Find me something under $15. And he goes away and he scrolls different dog websites. And he says, who loves to chew? And here are a couple of options. Tells me the pros and cons. And he finds that lovely gorilla one, right? I love it. I want to buy it. Buy with Pro. I have given the 16-digit card number to Perplexity. I buy it with Pro. He goes then to the website, puts all the details in, and purchase has been done. Okay, great. And I can then view the details and the rest of it. There you go, purchase complete. Now, the problem with that is all the problems that I told you before. But the solution that we're all now collectively working on is a new agentic token protocol. Because what's happening is, and this is today in normal life, we do not like the 16-digit card numbers to be on the website. The website, the payment providers, they take the 16-digit card number, create an encryption, and this is called tokens. There are gateway tokens, there are network tokens, and what we're now saying is we need to have a new token which is super secure, right, and captures additional information. And the information is it captures the agent's ID. So collectively, we're going to give each agent an ID that is verifiable. We're capturing the consent, and that is in the form of a passkey. So think about when you go shopping, for example, and then you press, like, for example, Apple Pay, and Apple Pay knows it's you because you have your biometrics. Similar protocols need to be adopted in the agentic scenario. And last but not least, what you actually shopped, because remember, what you saw there in terms of the checkout was not the checkout of the Gorilla toy shop, was actually the checkout of Perplexity. And everything, this was your intent. Yes, I want to shop that. All that data needs to be part of the token, and part of the token and send around the networks back into the bank, so the bank, there is actually a record of everything that was purchased. So that's what we're working on, and that is what I hope next year, if this happens again, this conference, I come here and we can talk about what happened in a year's time. So that is overall from an ecosystem, and when you start the journey from, let's say, a ChatGPT or a Perplexity or a Gemini, how these guys will start shopping onto the merchants. Now, if you are a merchant at the moment, you should really be worried. And you know why? Because all of a sudden, you are building a lot of marketing, a lot of loyalty with your customers, and then all of a sudden, what? Agents are going to shop at your shop, and you do not know them? And who are they? And who is the customer behind? And how can I build loyalty with a customer? I think similarly, problems have emerged, particularly in marketplaces, where you have a lot of SME companies going into marketplaces and you don't really know them. You know the marketplace, you don't know the SMEs. Now think of that in steroids. And that is a real problem for merchants. So one of the things that we have now started talking directly to merchants is to say, hey, think about the agentic interface as actually an opportunity for you to differentiate yourself through an agentic interface on the merchant side. And what that actually means is, like, I know a lot of you probably have seen that a lot of merchants these days, shops like Kotsovolos or anybody else that you can think of, they started having what we call a chat box. And usually you go to the chat box and they say, hey, how can I help you today? Usually these chat boxes tend to be very rudimentary at the moment, okay? But we have started working with a number of companies who want to upgrade that chat box and make it an LLM interface. What that means is that chat box can become your personal kind of shopping assistant. So think about how different the experience is when you go to a website, let's say a big clothing, and it says, hi, Maria, what can I do for you today? They already know me because I'm their customer. Oh, yes, I would like to shop an outfit for spring. And then if they know me, they can say, hey, based on your previous thing, here's a couple of assemblies that I put together for you. How lovely is that? That creates another way for the merchants to fight back against the anonymous LLMs, where people want to shop again and again at the same merchant. And if you look at the sort of the pros and cons on both sides, it creates a better relationship with your potential customers, but it also reduces the risk of disintermediation, which is key in commerce these days, right? And there's a lot of money being poured into advertising and the rest, but if you as a customer don't have a nice experience when you come into the website, it sort of takes it all away. Okay, I think that's pretty intuitive for you. But when we talk to a lot of merchants, they tend to say, okay, how do we do this? How do we get started? What do I need to do? What kind of tooling? And I strongly believe, in the same way as e-commerce opened up a new set of businesses like apps and other business models, I strongly believe that this whole agentic interface will launch a new set of services inside commerce, if you like. How do we make it safe? How can I process agentic payments? And what we've done is we've created an agent for merchants that is basically sits in the interface between the merchant's infrastructure and payment processing. In the middle is the agentic interface, and it kind of ventures up into the interface of the merchant's website. Okay. In order to enable, as I said, take the chat box and make the chat box a super agent. And in order to do that, you really need to connect that super agent with the full product catalog. You can do that through MCP tooling. There's various ways of, I don't want to get very technical here, but I wanted, so you get an idea of how this would work, I wanted to show you a little demo. So this is me going, think of Kotsovolos. I mean, you're most Greeks here, you know what I mean. Let's say I want to go and shop for a TV. How does it work today? By the way, TechMart is a dummy. You tend to go and you look at one TV, and then you look at another TV, you look at the pricing, you look at the pros and the cons, and it's exhausting. It's really, really exhausting, the way in which we're shopping today, despite all the criteria and everything. Now think about going to Amazon or any other big marketplace. It's the same. You scroll and scroll and scroll. It's really not very nice. Now, let's look at the experience with an agent. You've dialed in, and the agent, sorry, I can't see. I need to kind of look into that. It says, okay, I need a new TV. Very simple. Oh, yes, Maria, I know you like high-definition viewing. I know you like kind of films. Here are 5 strong options on the page. Oh, I'm not sure about the size, I say to him. Like really the normal interaction that you would have in a shop with a shopping assistant, right? And you say to him, hey, no more than 1 meter. And he says, keeping your small room, this is what I found for you. It's the Philips. And, okay, next steps. Next, the next round. Got you. Which one fits my needs best? It scans. Sorry. Can you play the next one? For usefulness and value. Okay, all right. So it chooses the Philips. And it tells me what are the pros. And of course, it tells me that it's the most expensive option. Okay. I feel like, okay, but it's the best one that I want. So I add it into the cart. And it also lies, add the Philips into the cart and give me like a cable as well. So he does that too. And this is, by the way, it's live. We're doing POC on this one. Finding any HRM cables, add it both to your cart, great pairing. It can then start offering new, maybe something new. Let's go to the next one. Play, Nico, the next one. Oh, I want to check out and pay for my card. Since you got this, he's trying to sell me something more. And I say, no, please proceed to checkout. And I said, no, he sort of says to me this. I like checkout. No, thanks. Okay. Now, this is obviously my husband's credit card. Okay, of course. I wouldn't pay for it myself. And the order is placed. So everybody's happy. I got my new, and then you can see the security code. So this is all kind of the whole security embedded. Again, this is outside the website of the merchants, but together with their payment provider. So order is successful, and he can help me with tracking your order status. So what happens then? My husband finds out that I bought this television, and he gets really upset. What the hell have you done? Which of course can happen. So I panic. I go back to the agent, go back in and say, hey, show me what I purchased lately, because I purchased quite a few things. And he says, here's the recent order. Blah, 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 $431. And then I'm like, I have to say to the agent, my husband doesn't like the TV. Can I cancel, please? And of course, it checks the cancellation routes, and then it cancels. And this agent basically does all this type of kind of interaction nicely and natively, as if you are calling Dimitris at the Kotsovolos shop and say, hey, I don't like it anymore. Can you change it? Can you do all of this pretty native? Okay, order has been canceled, full refund within the next 3-5 days. So isn't that a much more nicer? And I think this is where the next battleground will be, on 2 sets of battlegrounds. One on the merchant side, deploying interfaces like that, trying to make the shopping more interactive, better, and then we need to work on all the securities and all the kind of things that, if you pay for something and the agent takes the payment, obviously it has to be super secure, but that is easy. On the other hand, the big battle will be ChatGPT, Gemini, all the big LLMs. Googling will be dead. The majority of search will happen through agentic interfaces. And of course, there's a lot of revenues to be made if these big LLMs become kind of also a shopping executor. Okay, and so this is the sort of world that we're in. But the key thing here is trust. And how can we, because it's very easy to search and look at it, it's a completely different story when you actually put a payment card behind it. You need to be able to trust, you need to make sure that there's no fraud, and that is the key message for it, and thank you so much, and look forward to speaking to you.